format for this year's State of the Conference address, which historically kicks off media days, is being tweaked. This morning's speakers will feature current Commissioner Bob Bowlsby, incoming Commissioner Brett Yormark, and Baylor University President Linda Livingstone. After the conclusion of their remarks, we will open it up to questions from the media. We will begin with opening remarks from Commissioner Bob Bowlsby. Bob?
Good morning, everyone. This is typically the time when I do a State of the Conference address, and so this year's just a little bit different than previous years. Obviously, much has happened since we were together last in this venue for Media Day last year. In fact, some of you will recall that I said at the time that I thought our board was as aligned as I had seen them during my 10 years with the Big 12. It was, I think, 8 days later that OU and Texas announced they were going to the SEC. So you can take my assessment of calm waters for what they're worth. Since then as well, I think most of us got surprised by the USC-UCLA migration to the Big Ten, and so indeed the seismic shifts are continuing in collegiate athletics. Amid it all, the Big 12 had a great year. We had a record 8 national team championships and another 6 team championships where we were runners-up. And you know, amazingly, one of the things I think we all saw this year was the emergence of the NCAA softball championship as a good draw on television and live gate. And we had 3 of the 4 semifinalists, and including the champion in that tournament. So we've had a good year. Name a sport, and the Big 12 is competing well nationally. And we're competing at the very highest levels. Men's and women's basketball, as an example, were 12-0 in the first round of the tournament last year. Didn't have a single team lose during the first round of the tournament. Add to that Kansas's championship for the second year in a row. The conference had the men's national championship, and in the Kansas case, they overcame the largest halftime deficit in the history of the championship game. And so having teams in the last 4 Final Fours, I think, has capably established the Big 12 as the best basketball conference in the country. You know, we've had some other anecdotal things. I think we had more than a dozen individual student athletes capture national championships in one sport or another, and some kind of fun things. You know, it was fun to see Cameron Norrie from TCU play in the semifinals at Wimbledon, and certainly seeing Highland Park's and UT's Scotty Scheffler win the Masters was something that was fun for all of us to watch. So it's been a good year, and I think it has been a good year competitively. But additionally, we added 4 new members during a hurried period last August and September. We now know that all 4 of the new members, BYU, Cincinnati, Central Florida, and Houston, will all commence participation on July 1st, 2023. The process that we have recently gone through to merge the men's and women's basketball tournaments to both be in T-Mobile, starting with the 24 championship, I think is going to be a great thing. Our men's basketball tournament is arguably the best in college basketball, and our women's tournament is similarly prominent in terms of competitiveness and live gate, and so both of them will be in T-Mobile, and as a result of that combination, we've extended our contract with T-Mobile in Kansas City through the 27 tournaments. And so the last thing about this year that I think was significant is, you know, after a couple of years where we were really challenged by all things COVID, we now have recovered, and this year distributed $42.6 million per institution in distributable revenue. That is a record, and it's fully 25% higher than what we were distributing just 4 years ago. But you're here to talk about football today, and there's a lot to talk about in football. We ended up for the first time since we were a 12-team league, having 3 teams finish the year with 11 wins. Baylor, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma all finished the year with 11 wins and finished in the top 10 in all of the major polls. We were 5-2 in the bowl games last year and 10-2 over the last 2 years. So we've had lots of success. I mentioned COVID earlier. I think as much as any conference, we have done a good job of navigating through the COVID challenges, and we all know what those have been. But whether it was in August of 20 when we found a path forward to continue to play games during the fall, or whether it was during the ramp up of Omicron where we were trying to get the end of the season played and the postseason played in 21. I think our presidents and chancellors, our athletics directors, our Big 12 staff all did a great job. We got a lot of work out of our physicians council, and can't thank those people enough. But I do think that we were a national leader, and the results of the number of games that we got played, I think, is indicative of that. We welcomed 3 new coaches this year, Brent Venables at OU, Sonny Dykes at TCU, and Joey McGuire at Texas Tech. All of them come with substantial resumes and lots of past success. Interestingly enough, our conference champion from last year is picked first this year. And so Baylor goes from being the hunter to the hunted. And there are a number of institutions and football programs that will lay claim to an opportunity to win the championship this year. And so it ought to be a really good period of time between September and December on the football fields. Last but not least, we have a new commissioner. And I've enjoyed having Brett here this week and getting a chance to get to know him and sharing information and talking about what the challenges are. Brett brings a wealth of experiences and a lot of successful experiences throughout his career, and they will serve him well as he leads the Big 12, and I think you'll enjoy getting acquainted with him. So I wish for him the same relationship that I have had with all of you. I thank you for the professionalism with which you have covered the Big 12 and with which you've dealt with me over the years. I consider many of you to be not only colleagues but good friends, and really grateful for the many wonderful relationships that have emanated out of you doing your jobs and me doing my job. And so you'll probably see me around a little bit, but I am grateful for the relationship that we've had, and I thank you for being here today. So, Bob, that concludes my comments.